Howdy, I'm Jim Mueller, and welcome to the Browns locker room for this special pregame edition of Browns Insider. To say tonight's game between the Browns and the Oilers is a big one would be a huge understatement. And you have to give those NFL schedule makers a pat on the back for this one. They obviously felt this game would have huge playoff ramifications, and it certainly does. Now, in case you've been out shoveling snow all week, here's what it all means. If the Browns win tonight, they are the AFC Central Division champions for the 4th time in the past 5 years. And they will get a week off before a home playoff game, which would be at the stadium on either January 6th or 7th. On the other side of the coin, if the Oilers win, they are the division champions. Now, in case you're feeling a little deja vu here, you're right. It was a final game showdown a year ago in the last week of the season when the Oilers came to Cleveland and the Browns had to win that ball game to make the playoffs. Browns fans got an early Christmas present when the Browns indeed did win in very dramatic fashion. Let's go back to last December 18th and reminisce a bit.
Last couple of games I've had an opportunity to play against Warren, especially the last playoff game where I got 2 interceptions off of him. Is that we had good line play, which afforded me the opportunity to come up with 2 big interceptions in the game.
He was just coming off an injury, and then Don Strock was starting. I figured, hey, Don can't get hurt. And all of a sudden, they said, Don's down, you're in. And when I went in, we were a couple of touchdowns behind. Houston had just scored 2 quick touchdowns, and I figured, hey, what the heck? You got nothing to lose. Just coming off an injury, just go out there and throw the ball around the yard and see what happens. And just one onside kick away from having a chance to win it all at the end.
Hopefully those snowy scenes from last year won't be repeated tonight down in the Astrodome. I think the NFL office said there are something like 100 different playoff possibilities still in the AFC. When we come back, we'll really confuse you. Plus, we'll spend some quality time with a future Hall of Famer, Ozzie Newsome.
How do we have to get in the playoffs? We just have to play tough today, that's all. We have to win the rest of our games.
And the Browns-Oilers kickoff will be seen here at 8 o'clock. We don't have time to tell you all the ways the Browns can still make the playoffs should they lose to Houston tonight. So instead, we'll test you. Let's listen as some of the fans sum up the playoff picture.
Oh, they gotta win.
Miami has to lose, Kansas City, and we're gonna win 28-10.
Seems like to me, I don't know, I could be wrong.
Not the playoffs. We'll win the playoffs. We're going to the Super Bowl.
Now, the Browns can make the playoffs as a wild card if they lose tonight, but that would take a loss by Kansas City and losses by all but one of the following: Buffalo, Indianapolis, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, or the Raiders. In other words, just win, Browns, just win. One player who's been a winner the past 12 seasons is the Wizard of Oz, tight end Ozzie Newsome. Let's spend some time with Ozzie before his last regular season game. We asked Ted Henry and the good folks at WEWS Channel 5 if we could use this tribute to Oz.
It's the moment every player lives for, the moment of triumph, the moment that Ozzie Newsome will miss most when he walks off the field for the last time at the end of the season. But for the Oz, it's the hours leading up to the game that are the toughest. We don't see those moments in the locker room before the game, the private time a player has to mentally prepare for the battle ahead.
I like to arrive at the stadium around between 10 and 10:30, which means that gives me approximately 2.5 hours to start to focus. What I try to do is not to get all hyped up, because you can burn out before kickoff.
Take home a W, fellas. Got to ride on the plane.
As much of the game as it is physically, is more mental. And so I try to make sure I'm really prepared from a mental standpoint to go out there and play.
Specialist, 10 minutes. Specialist, 10 minutes.
Defense over there, offense right here.
I'm trying to mentally play the game at that point, and I'm not very much concerned with my surroundings. You know, I'm like in my own little world, in my own little tunnel at that time. I still get the butterflies, I guess you say, and that comes because I want to do so well.
Leave nothing out there. Leave nothing out there. Don't save anything for the plane ride back, because we won't need it. We're going to out-hit them. We're going to out everything. Out-hustle them, out-work them, out-block them, out-tackle them. There's just, whatever, 45 guys, and let's stick close. Let's get it.
For 21 years, football has been Ozzie's life. And as his spectacular career comes to an end, his moments of greatness will never be forgotten. He'll take with him the memories of Sunday afternoons, the fans who loved him, and the friends he made along the way. He will live on forever as Cleveland's Wizard of Oz.
Ozzie, the process that we've just witnessed, you've gone through that now time and time again for 12 years. How much of a change has it been doing it now as opposed to doing it when you first started here?
I guess the biggest change is the anxiety, especially the very first time. Butterflies seemed like they were coming from everywhere with the anticipation of the game and wondering whether I could actually go out there and get the job done. Now it's hurry up, let's get the game on. You know, I'm ready to go out there and to get involved in that first play, because after that first play comes, then you're in the flow of everything. So I guess that's been the biggest difference.
Ozzie, the very first Browns Insider show back in the preseason, you were our guest, and we said then we're going to come back to you and talk a little bit about this special season of yours, which we anticipated to be your final season.
Mm-hmm.
What's it been like for you? Have you thought about that?
It's been quick. This is undoubtedly been the quickest season that I've been involved in. It's hard for me to realize that we're going into game 16. You know, I'm not all worn down. I'm not tired mentally. I think Bud has done a very good job of handling the players throughout the season to make sure we're fresh and ready to go. But as I look back on it, I've reflected only a couple of times how the players have changed. Boy, they're getting bigger, stronger, and faster. How the games have changed, how the game has changed as far as now it's so much situational. You know, it used to be the 11 starters on offense played against 11 starters on defense, and you played the whole game. Now everything is so situational.
We appreciate not only what you've done for us and given us on the field by way of thrills and helping the Browns, but what you've done off the field. You've been a strong, contributing member of the Cleveland community, and I know that's meant a lot to you during your career, hasn't it?
Yes, it has. You know, for as much that I have gave, I think has been given to me, because a lot of the reasons why I was out involved in the community, because it really helped me to keep my perspective. Professional football is a big business, and you get a lot of pats on the back. And sometimes that leads you to forget about the people that are less fortunate than you are. And getting the opportunity to give back to the community is something that has really been beneficial for Ozzie Newsome. It makes me wake up each and every day really ready to accept the challenge of the day, because I know maybe sometime during that day I might be able to put a smile on someone else's face.
Browns fans have very strong feelings about the players in this locker room. And these guys have put us all through a very emotional roller coaster ride, beginning with the peak of that 51-0 victory over the Steelers in the season opener, to the 3 recent consecutive losses, to last Sunday's dramatic overtime victory against the Minnesota Vikings. Strap in and hang on to your hats, and let's go back through the first 15 games of the season.
Here we go. The most important kick of this season coming up. Snap is good, hold is good, and it's a fake. Pagel rolling, throwing to Van Waiters, touchdown Browns! Woo! The Browns have won the game on an amazing piece of trickery. What an ending!
I said Van Waiters' dad is here. I'll bet you he's a happy man.
And Mike Pagel has finally thrown a touchdown pass.
As this 1989 regular season comes to an end, things are not much different in the AFC Central than they were at the beginning of the season, when the division's 4 field generals readied their teams for play.
I'll work them, I'll block them, I'll tackle them. Just whatever, 45 guys, and let's stick close.
Team effort, team effort. Team effort.
Only one game separates the 4 Central Division teams today. But it started so well for new head coach Bud Carson and his Browns at Three Rivers Stadium. Linebacker David Grayson had the game of his life as he stole the ball from the Steelers' Lewis Lips and raced for a touchdown. And then scored a second touchdown when he grabbed a Bubby Brister pass. Following the 51-0 shutout over the Steelers, Bud Carson greeted his former players from the Jets at his new stadium home. But the hospitality wasn't very good as Kosar hit Webster for an early touchdown. quickly followed by safety Thane Gash's theft and touchdown that helped the Browns and their new coach to a 2-0 record. It was back on the road for a nationally televised confrontation against the Bengals, who jumped to an early lead before the Browns unveiled their newest weapon. Rookie running back Eric Metcalf. Eric wasn't enough, however, as the Browns dropped their first game. But back home, the Browns found a way to beat their old nemesis, the Denver Broncos. Glitzy Joe Robbie Stadium was the next stop. And it was time for a little more Eric Metcalf. But it wasn't quite enough, as Pete Stoyanovic's 35-yard field goal gave the Dolphins a hard-fought overtime victory. Back home at the Dog Pound, the Browns were expected to beat the Steelers for a second time. But costly mistakes spelled a second straight defeat. The frustrated Browns dropped to a 3-3 mark. The nation's eyes then turned to Cleveland. It was rock'em sock'em football with a little flash as two perennial playoff contenders battled.
Let's keep it up. We got 14 minutes to play.
Going deep left side, Slaughter open, has it at the 40. The foot race is on. Webster Slaughter to the 30, to the 25. Spins around, he's gone all the way for a touchdown. 98 yards. He broke.
With the Oilers coming to town, the Browns looked for help from above as they tried for a second straight victory. It was time for razzle-dazzle and some needed explosion in the Browns' offense.
And the handoff goes to Metcalf. Here's the flea flicker back to Kosar. Webster Slaughter is wide open. Got the ball at the 40. 30, he's gone. Webster Slaughter is gone for a touchdown. 80 yards on the flea flicker there. As Kosar drops back by 5 steps, fires it deep over the middle for Slaughter, who has it at the 50 and breaks away. Webster Slaughter is gone. Goodbye. The Slaughter Express strikes again. 2nd and 6 at the Oilers 32. Here's a pitch out to Metcalf, and he wants to throw deep for Langhorne, who's wide open. Touchdown, Browns! It's science fiction time at Cleveland Stadium. And
With back-to-back wins, the Browns played at Tampa, and the gifted Metcalf inspired a 3rd straight Cleveland victory. Another rookie, Lawyer Tillman, got the Browns going in Seattle. But it was the defense that made the big plays to give the Browns 4 wins in a row and a secure hold on first place in the division. With that foothold, the Browns came home to meet a familiar face. Hard hits dominated this game that was typified by a Tim Manoa rumble in the 3rd quarter that set up a Metcalf touchdown. Unfortunately, that wasn't enough, as the frustrated Browns had to settle for a 10-10 overtime tie. 4 days later, the Browns spent Thanksgiving at the Silverdome, where rookie Pro Bowler Barry Sanders served a main course of humble pie. Despite a 38-yard touchdown sprint from reserve fullback Barry Redden, the dejected face of Mike Johnson told the story of the disappointing 13-10 loss at Detroit.
We present play physical football. More physical than them. You keep your poise.
let's go. 1st and 10, play action. Tee off. You have permission to go.
The stage was set for a comeback against the Bengals, but an overreaction to a James Brooks fake run stunned Cleveland, and Cincinnati became the only team to shut out the Browns this season.
Let's go, team, all 45. 1, 2, 3, go. All 45 of us.
Burdened with a 2-game losing streak, the almost desperate Browns traveled to the Hoosier Dome, where Kosar got hot and found Pro Bowler Webster Slaughter. And when the special teams contributed a touchdown, it looked like the losing streak had stopped. Forcing overtime, the Colts battled back and finally stole the game from the battle-weary Browns. Coming home to Cleveland, the Browns could not afford another loss. And while they had to go into overtime a 4th time, Kosar found Reggie Langhorne, who set up a game-winning touchdown that people are still talking about.
Most important kick of this season coming up. Snap is good, hold is good, and it's a fake. Pagel rolling, throwing to Van Waiters, touchdown Browns! Woo! The Browns have won the game on an amazing piece of trickery. What an ending!
All of that.
Divisional game. It's a game that can win us the division title, so I guess you'd have to say it's probably one of the biggest games we've played in here.
Well, their front four is very solid. Actually, their front eight. I mean, they have good linebackers, good defensive linemen. For that matter, they have good defensive backs.
We just covered it all.
They have, I think they're second in the league in defense, and year in and year out, they've always been up there. So that's about it.
I think, you know, every game is a pressure game for an NFL football player, but this one is tough. This is almost like playing for the playoff game. This is the playoff game for us, and we got to approach it that way.
Well, this team, if we're loose and we're relaxed, and when we come down that tunnel in the Astrodome, it runs down your arms, it runs into your fingers, and you can feel it when they hit the field. You can feel the electricity in the House of Pain, and you know when you're there, and you know when it runs down your arms and into your fingers that we're going to have some fun.
On the Oiler defense, the man in the middle is linebacker John Grimsley, who hails from Canton.
Well, you know, that's the way we're looking at it. We're looking like our backs are against the wall because we really need to win the game to accomplish some of the things we wanted to all year. So, you know, as far as the Browns offense, you know, I think the main guy they'd like to get the ball to is Metcalf. He's the one that makes it go for him, and Kosar, you know, he's their leader at quarterback, and, you know, they just got a good all-around team.
Two Browns defenders, Frank Minifield and Michael Dean Perry, have personal matchups that will be watched closely tonight. Frank against former college teammate Ernest Givens, and Michael Dean against Pro Bowler Mike Munchak.
Well, I've never had no intense matchup with any one person. I try to play as strong and as tough and as intense as I can possibly play against anybody. And to single Ernest Givens out, I think it was unfair because the way I played against him, I played against everyone.
Well, I'm pretty sure they won't be disappointed during watching the game on Saturday. Mike Munchak is one of the premier guards in the NFL, and he's a good athlete, and he plays real hard every play.
By the way, congratulations are in order tonight for Frank Minifield, Michael Dean Perry, Clay Matthews, and Webster Slaughter for their selection to this year's Pro Bowl squad. Neither Eric Metcalf, who enjoyed some success at the Astrodome when he played for Texas, nor Reggie Langhorne will be intimidated by the rough Oiler defense.
Last time I was there, I played the Blue Bonnet Bowl against the University of Pittsburgh, and it was an exciting game just because we were underdog and they were like one of the top-ranked teams, so it made it even more special. We went out there, we all had a good game. I felt I had a good game. I had like 95 yards and I scored a touchdown, so it'll be exciting to go down there and see a lot of my friends and people I know from Texas.
I don't think so. There never has been. I don't think it'll be any, this game be any different. The thing that probably separates anything else is in their minds, they know that they have to bounce back from a 61-7 loss to Cincinnati. They know that they'll have a chance to win their first title in a long time, but yet we have a chance to win our fourth in 5 years, and it's probably as important to us as anything we face this season.
Well, it's about that time. A whole year's worth of work for the guys in this locker room coming down to this one single game. You know, earlier in the week, Bernie Kosar said that this is the type of game that makes being a pro athlete just plain fun. Now, I don't know about you, but a game like this makes me nervous. So let's let the Oilers and the Browns get it on down in the Astrodome, and you'll be able to see it right here on WOIO 19. And let's hope the Browns can brighten all of our holidays tonight. Merry Christmas.